So we really hope that you've enjoyed the videos from the National Forest Adventure Farm over the last week. Been so sorry that you've not been able to visit the farm, but obviously because of COVID restrictions we've had to bring the farm to you. So I'm very conscious that over the last week you've seen an awful lot of new life on the farm, the lambing sheds and what have you, but there's lots of other stuff going on as well. So just to bring you up to date, you've probably noticed if you visited the farm, we've got lots of trees planted. We planted a lot of these about 4 years ago, so they're just coming up to formative pruning. We've been doing it over some of the winter already. We've started on this first row, but I'm just on this next row now. So this is actually a silver birch. So just to let you know what we do here, we've got two tools to use. We've got the big loppers or the little hand pruners. So what we actually have to do is try to shape the tree. What we want to get away from is it bushing out. We're trying to, at this stage in its growth, we're trying to get it to go up. So if we cut these lower branches off, that's going to encourage the meristem at the top to keep shooting upwards and to get a nice straight trunk as well. So I'll just show you what we have to do. For the lighter branches, we'll use these little hand pruners, and you just go along and just trim them off at the bottom, right? However, some of these are quite thick and they're quite hard, so we use the bigger loppers for these. So these bad boys here. So what you have to do, you have to try and chop the branch. You want to try and aim it a little bit of a slope on it like that, so the water runs off and we don't get any disease in it. Like that. Like that. And just do this one tree here, and we'll probably take it off to about here. Make sure there's nothing too bushy growing out the top. There we go. And I'll just finish it off with these little hand pruners here. Okay, good. So that will now encourage this tree to keep growing upwards rather than out. So this tree here should have been formatively pruned, in all honesty with you, probably, I don't know, 7 or 8 years ago. So a lot of the branches are much bigger trees, you can see. So you can see what happens if you don't do this. That branch should have been taken off a while ago. So to actually do this, what we'll use is the tree saw here. I'll just show you, this is quite a very serrated edge along here, and that really cuts through branches. We're not actually wrecking the tree here. Some people think that we're cutting trees down. We're not. We're actually helping them in here by actually encouraging them, as I said before, to grow upwards, not out. So I'm going to try and cut this off now. This is a thick branch to cut off. Get into it. There we go. So I'll do that for the rest of them, and it'll make it a much better shaped tree, and it'll grow a lot taller and a lot stronger. So at the Adventure Farm, we don't just entertain people and rear sheep. We also do arable crops. So the field behind me here is actually a crop of winter wheat. Now, unfortunately, it's sown in very wet conditions quite late on, and it's not had the best of take, so it looks quite thin and patchy at the minute. The problem is, it's so wet out there, we can't get the machinery on the field to actually apply any fertiliser or any sprays to spray the weeds out. So I just want to show you here though, these are the wheat plants, and you'll see at the minute each little plant has got, well, this one here's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tillers. Now that comes from one seed, you'll get 5 little tillers. What we're aiming for is 3 or 4 absolute maximum. In a better year you'll probably get 7 or 8, and then gradually you'll get tiller dieback, so you're aiming for 3 or 4, so you get a much bigger, bolder grain. But unfortunately these plants aren't looking in such good a condition, and that one there, that little hole, that's a sign of slug damage. So unfortunately we've got things eating it, and we've got weeds competing with it. So doesn't look like it's going to be the best of crops this year, I'm afraid, but we'll see how it goes. We'll see what spring brings. As soon as the weather warms up, hopefully the land will dry out, and then hopefully, who knows, if it tillers out, it might get going and we might have a full crop. So if you ever come to the National Forest Adventure Farm and go on a tractor and trailer ride, it's highly likely you'll go past one of our arable fields. An arable field is a field that grows crops such as wheat, barley or oilseed rape. Each of our arable fields has got one of these surrounding it. This is a 6 metre margin. Now these margins are actually put there for environmental benefit. So sown within the margin there's flowering plants which are good for pollinating insects like bees, but they're also good for beneficial insects such as ladybirds and lacewings, which are predators to some of the enemies of the crop such as aphids and greenfly. We're also very proud of our environmental credentials at the National Forest Adventure Farm. In 2002 we planted 28,000 trees that went into the National Forest Woodland Scheme, and every year we set aside around about 60 to 70 acres of land, especially for wildlife. So right now we're standing in an overwintered stubble. Last year this was a crop of wheat. We're just going to leave this now until summer this next year, probably July, August time, before we pull it up. That's going to be a nesting site for ground nesting birds such as skylark and lapwing. It's also a rich source of food. With this weedy stubble you get birds like partridge and skylark feeding it. At the National Forest Adventure Farm, we obviously want everybody to enjoy their visit, but the one side of the business that you probably don't know about is the actual farm inside. We like to think that we farm here sustainably so that generations can enjoy the landscape for years to come.